Hello and welcome back to Racers coverage of the 8th round of the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series season here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Alex Palou is your pole sitter for Sunday's race. He beat Kyle Kirkwood by less than a tenth of a second, and they were followed by Felix Rosenqvist of Meyer Shank Racing-Honda, Colton Herter, also of Andretti, and then Alex Rossi is the sole representative of Chevrolet in the top six, and Christian Lundgaard, who as usual overachieved for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Kirkwood's second place is his best qualifying position of the year. We caught up with the young American after qualifying. Kyle, congratulations on the front row at Laguna Seca. I remember there was a time some years ago when you were in Indy Lights and you used to say that qualifying wasn't the strongest part of your game, and now today you've wound up 0.0739 short of taking pole here. What's been the big progress for you?
These past 3 weekends have been really good for us in qualifying, and feel like I'm just executing better, hitting more marks better, getting the most out of it. And today was the best qualifying I've had all year, and it resulted in the best qualifying that we've had all year. So, so it's just more consistent, right? And we're having better races too. We're getting top fives now, which is a huge goal of mine. We're decent in the championship now, so it's giving ourselves a shot.
Yeah, you're sixth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tied for fifth.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and you even beat the master of Laguna, Colton Herter, as well by a gnat. But where do you think your extra pace came from compared with some of the people who didn't make it through, the real shockers like Penske? What?
I'm not quite sure, if I'm being honest. We knew we were really good, right? Coming into qualifying, we're like, we've got solid cars. We feel like we can definitely transfer into the Fast Six, and we took essentially 3 cars into the Fast Six with the addition of Felix, right? Yeah. So clearly we were doing something right. The tracks has gotten quicker since yesterday, and maybe with the conditions changing, with it getting a little bit hotter, maybe we performed a little bit better in these conditions compared to yesterday. But there's a lot of variables, so I'm not really sure why some of the cars were a little bit slower than anticipated. But we ended up being just as quick as we anticipated, so it's good.
Right. Talk about the extra loads that you have to deal with your arms and so on when you put on the reds and it gets hotter and grippier and grippier. It's a tiring session, man.
I mean, qualifying isn't necessarily too hard. It is physical, but you're essentially only doing 2 laps, right, on red tires. Now, when we get into tomorrow and we're doing
95 laps.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a long race, right? Like you're going to feel it in the car. That's for sure. Especially when you throw reds at it and it's warm and you're full of fuel. Right. That added weight's just going to be a killer. You're already locked up in a few of the corners with steering effort, and the more that you add to it, the more locked up you're going to be. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy.
And in those circumstances, do you want yellow flags to give your arms a rest, or do you want it just over as soon as possible?
I think it depends where you're at and how strategy plays out, but you want the yellows to fall exactly where they should for your strategy. But ultimately, I'd rather just go green all the way and get through it, get on with it. But no relaxing. That's why we train for stuff like this, and you want to outperform the next guy behind you, right? So.
And finally, any thoughts on whether you're going to start on primaries or alternates at the moment?
Haven't even thought about it. We haven't talked about that at all. We'll come up with a decision tomorrow based on what kind of tire degradation looks like. The track's different than last year. It's not the same, although pace is somewhat similar. Mm-hmm. If you actually go and look at the surface, it looks more like old Laguna looked, where it looks more like a cheese grater more than a very smooth surface. So we had some thoughts and concern about the red tires not lasting, but based on qualifying right now, we don't have those concerns, but that might change in warm-up, so we'll make the decision after warm-up.
Okay. If Felix Rosenqvist's third place on the grid is a sign that Meyer Shank Racing has returned to form, there was also great celebrations among the team members for the performance of David Malukas. Malukas has sat out all of this year recovering from a fearful wrist injury that he incurred pre-season and that eventually lost him his drive at Arrow McLaren. Here today, he qualified 12th. We caught up with him this morning. So, David Malukas, welcome back. How's your wrist doing? It's going to be everyone's first question.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, it's doing good. We're kind of in the car right now. It's just a little bit of like a mobility thing that we're trying to work around. Definitely having to change the driving style a little bit to work with it. But we've made already big chunks coming from yesterday to today, especially with the driving too. It's like, man, I just feel so green and rusty. I need to get all the cobwebs off. But so far, it's been pretty good.
And have you looked at your data compared with Felix's? Can you see where the time is that you're losing? Is it all down to that, or?
No, it's actually all down to my left foot, my braking. I guess just being out of the car for so long, it's definitely kind of taken me a little bit out of it. But of course, also from practice 1 to practice 2, we actually switched the brake pedal. Something that I'm more used to at Global Racing is what we use. So they have a little bit of a different system here, so we kind of changed that to kind of something I'm more used to. So we've had a big step up from yesterday. I think, time-wise, probably gained at least half a second there. So already a big chunk. I mean, qualifying's coming up here pretty soon, but we're going to try to make something of a similar jump.
Yeah. Is this one of the more demanding tracks to try and make your comeback on with that injury?
Of course, yeah. I mean, Laguna is definitely very physical, especially coming down the corkscrew and turn 9, 10, that whole section. There's a lot of G's putting on and a lot of weight on the wheel, but thankfully from the team side, I mean, we've worked with the steering wheel to reduce the weight, and honestly, from a strength-wise, hasn't really been the issue. It's been more of just mobility, again, just kind of getting a little bit stuck with all the equipment on, the brace, just trying to protect the hand. That's kind of been more of the struggle, but at least from a strength-wise, everything feels to be okay.
Right.
And that isn't where the time is, surprisingly. It's actually just me, we're just a little bit fresh.
Right. And does the extra lateral load that the red tyres can create, is that additional strain for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, especially when it's going to be qualifying here, red tires coming down turn 9, it's going to be a lot of weight and it's going to be pretty heavy. So, but so far through these 2 days, so far it's been there. I mean, it's definitely, I can feel the weight, but more than I'm used to. But again, since this hand's been obviously building strength up, I've also been working this one a little bit stronger to kind of compensate. So we're doing good.
Right. And what are your kind of ambitions for the remainder of the year with Meyer Shank? Do you think it's possible to get back to where you were at Gateway, where we used to see you, able to, spike the Penske guns and split them up and that kind of thing? Do you think that's feasible?
Yeah, I think coming back into it, we did the Milwaukee test, and coming from an oval standpoint, at least from the driving side, it seemed that all of that came back to me really quickly. So it seems like on the road courses, it's something that we're going to be struggling a little bit, as well that everybody else is already at mid-season form.
Yeah.
So they kind of have that bit of a jump. We're going to play a little bit of catch-up, I think, these first few races, and I think each race coming up, we're going to make a big jump in speed and obviously progression and learning a lot with me and the team and the chemistry. But I think going into the ovals would definitely be a bit stronger to start with, and then the road courses is going to be it's going to be some time. But I think from this race, it's going to be more of just new team, obviously new situations with the hand. Obviously, I'm very green. Once we get past this weekend, I think we'll already be making big jumps.
And finally, the other talking points of qualifying have to be the fact that Grosjean thought he had a potential pole-winning car, and yet he got stymied by traffic. To be fair to his rivals, there was a lot of traffic out there the whole time, namely 26 cars trying to get around 2.238 mile course. Then there was Scott Dixon, who managed to dig himself out of the hole that he seemed to be in yesterday during first practice. He finished his session 10th, and he was cursing himself because he thought he could have crept into the Firestone Fast 6. And then, who have we not mentioned? Penske. Remarkably, despite the pace that McLaughlin, Power and Newgarden have shown over the last 2 practice sessions, they ended up 7th, 14th and 15th. McLaughlin blamed a slide at turn 6 for him failing to creep through, but Newgarden and Will just blamed themselves basically for getting out of a rhythm, for not really extracting the most from the car when they could. So we have the very interesting possibility of 2, immensely strong cars coming through from mid-grid tomorrow with an extra set of reds. Will the reds be the tyres to have? We honestly don't know, because the weather gods lied to us yesterday, and they said it was going to be 65 today, and it's picture perfect and been varying between 76 and 80 today. So we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in terms of tyres. The drivers don't need to make their decisions until after warm-up as to which tyre sets they take, but it will be another intriguing tale.
Subscribe to Racer and save 24% off the cover price. You'll get the print and digital editions with an issue archive through 2012. Visit info.racer.com to learn more.